Let's answer the question, is it possible to generate a consistent character facing different directions in Midjourney? I've posted a couple of videos on character consistency before, but I never tried controlling the direction that the character is facing. It can get repetitive if every photo of your character is looking directly towards you, which usually happens when you're trying to make consistent characters. So let's take a look at to what extent we can control the angle of the camera shot. By the end of this video, you'll be able to generate a character just like this girl with red hair, facing different directions in different environments and wearing different types of clothing. The first thing we need to do is to generate a large set of reference images for our consistent character. We'll need them to be facing different directions, so let's go with a prompt like photo of a girl with red hair, pale skin and green eyes. She's wearing a white shirt, Kodak Portrait 800, split into 6 different images, shot from multiple angles. Make sure to include split into different images and shot from multiple angles. Also, do be descriptive with your prompt with details like hair, skin, and eye colors, which helps Midjourney out with the character creation. We get an image grid like this one, with each picture split into a bunch of different smaller images. The one on the bottom right is exactly what we're looking for. Let's bring it up with the U button. I know I prompted for 6 different images, but 4 is actually perfect. Notice how we have the same character facing in a variety of different directions. Some are facing left, some are facing right. These will be the base reference images for us to use. But we do need some more examples of reference images of our character from different angles. We can use the Very Strong feature to generate some more reference images of this character facing a bunch of different directions. I'm using Very Strong instead of Very Subtle because we want to generate some more different angles, and using the Very Subtle button doesn't change the angles in the original image by much. Alright, so I've generated a bunch more image grids. We can already see how much variety there is in the camera angles, and the facial structure of our character is mostly preserved in these. Pick the ones that look similar to the original base reference grid and open them up. Now take a snapshot of one of the pictures in the grid using the screen capture tool. I'm using the snipping tool on Windows 10. Then I'll save it to a reference image folder and name it based on the angle the character is facing. So in this case, I'll call it left 3/4 0. Because the image is facing the left, it's a 3/4 profile shot, which means it's facing 45 degrees away from us. And it's the first image I have with this camera angle, so I'll save it as image 0. Now let's go through and repeat this process for the other images I've generated. The camera angles that tend to appear the most consistently are side profile shots, 3/4 profile shots, and centered camera shots. Although you can also use some of the other angles that are generated. Alright, so I finished collecting my reference images. As you can see, I've taken screenshots and labeled them based on the direction they're facing. Of centered view, left 3/4 profile shot, side profile shot, and right facing 3/4 profile shot. I've got 4 reference images for each angle. You'll probably want at least 3 to get decent results. With image collection finished, let's upload them into Midjourney. First, I'll drag and drop all the centered view images into the Discord bot. I want to be able to reference all 4 of these images anytime I want a centered view shot from my character. The best way to do that is to use the prefer option set command, which will let us save the reference images to a custom name. Think of this like creating a custom parameter. So type /prefer option set into the direct message. Let's put in a custom name for our references into the option box like and center. And's just a random name for the character, and center is the angle of the reference photos. Then click on +1 more and open up value in the pop-up menu. From there, right-click on each of the uploaded images and copy the image link. Then paste that image link into the value box of the prefer option set command. Do this with all the other images and make sure you leave a space between the links so it doesn't get messed up. When you're done, enter the message, and Midjourney has now saved our 4 centered view reference images of our character to the custom parameter called &center. Before we move on, do this with the other reference camera angles of 3/4 and side profile images. I finished saving my reference images. Now when I enter /prefer option set, I can see the custom parameters I've created for each group of reference images, for and center, and 3/4 for left and right sides, and left side profile. Now that we got our reference images out of the way, let's move on to injecting our character into different environments and settings. First, we'll just generate a generic character inside of an environment we want, and then use the inpainting tool in Midjourney to inject our character into it. It's really cold where I live right now, so let's create an image of a beach. 3/4 profile shot of a girl with red hair, pale skin, and green eyes. She's on vacation at the beach, shot on Kodak Portra 800 film. Notice how I'm prompting for the same facial features as our character, just in a different environment. I've picked this image of the beach with the 3/4 view I wanted. Now, to inject our character into it, I'll use a vary region inpainting feature. First, I'll start with the lasso tool and select the face of the person in the image, which we want to swap out for our character Anne. Then underneath in the prompt, add -- left 3/4. If you remember from earlier, this is one of the custom parameters I saved with my reference images in them using prefer option set. This automatically uses my character references with the left 3/4 camera angle along with my prompt. And this is what Midjourney generates. I think the one in the bottom left looks the most similar to our character. This might take a couple of tries before you get something good, and it won't work with all different kinds of environments and prompts. So be patient and experiment a little bit. If you want to capture more of your subject's body, just use one of the zoom out buttons below to pull the camera back and capture more of the environment. Let's try another example. Here's an image of a girl standing in a garden. We'll use the vary region button, and this time after selecting the face of the person for inpainting, let's add in -- left side profile into the prompt. This should reference our side profile shots, and the generated image should show our character from the side. I think this photo turned out pretty well. It does look similar to our character, especially in the shape of the nose and the eyes. Interestingly enough, even though the reference images had a side profile facing to the left, in the generated image it's facing the right. I guess Midjourney is pretty smart. Regardless, you can always just flip the image in any image editing software if you want it to be facing the other direction. Here's a couple other examples of our character from different angles. I put a side profile of her at a library, and then generated a couple that had its centered view of her riding a bus to work in the morning. Then one more side profile with city lights in the background. To test out whether the different directions we have in our reference images actually makes a difference for the final generated image, I used the vary region injection method on this same image of a girl wearing armor, with different sets of reference images facing different directions. And it's clear that the camera angles used inside our reference images really are transferred into the consistent character photo. On the left, I used the side profile references. In the middle, I used 3/4 profiles, and on the right, I used centered view references. You can see how the character progressively turns her head towards us as we progress from left to right. Also, here's a bonus tip. If you want to customize the clothing the person is wearing, we can use a vary region tool to do this. Just open up the vary region user interface and then select the area covering the clothing you want to change. Then inside the prompt box, adding something new. So in this case, I'll go with, she is wearing a denim jacket. This works really well for all different types of clothing. When we generate the images and inspect them, the character is wearing a denim jacket just like we prompted for. So we took a look at generating consistent characters shot from different angles. If you want to learn how to generate consistent characters with different facial expressions, make sure to go and check out this video guide I made over here. Also, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more like this from me.